ball, swinging away, and he drives this one to right field. It's way back. That is gone. Snyder doubled yesterday. Swinging a high drive. Left field deep. Half backing up all the way to the wall. See you later. Off the bench. 3-run bomb by Bregman. Swinging a high fly ball into right. Again deep. Backing up Tucker. Turning around. Watch it sail. That's gone. He's done it again.
You gotta love that, ladies and gentlemen. The Red Sox salvaging the series against the Cubs here today. Welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. The Red Sox showed you today they can hang with the big boys. They can hang with the postseason teams. This Cubs team, very good. I've been all over this Cubs team since going into the season here. Very high on this Cubs team. One of the best offenses in all of Major League Baseball. They got a solid pitching department over there. I do think they need to add something for the rotation there. Maybe something for the bullpen as well. I could see something like that. But very talented Cubs team here. And they showed you why in the first couple of games. But today, the Red Sox showed you they can absolutely hang with teams like this when you have a guy like Garrett Crochet on the mound. When you have a pig like that on the mound, they're going to need to make an upgrade there in the rotation. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to stick to my guns. Listen, I love Brian Bayo. I like Lucas Giolito a lot. And they didn't do bad at all in this series. I'm not saying they are. So I don't want anyone in the comments telling me, Robbie, why are you ragging on Gio and Bayo? I mean, I'm not ragging on those guys. I'm just saying, when I'm thinking postseason, when I'm thinking World Series, you got to get one more guy, one more stud. Gio, Bayo, they can definitely be studs, but listen, what I saw here against the Cubs with those two, I like them in a game 3-4 situation. I need a game 2. That's what I'm looking for, and I think the Red Sox can have plenty of opportunities, and we actually do have a little bit of news that we are going to get to today at the end of the show. We're going to be talking about today's game, obviously. Alex Bregman showing you why they need to sign this guy to an extension. Where is the extension? Where is the contract? Someone break out the typewriter. Someone break out whatever it is that you're going to use to type up this contract here. Get that ready. Get that hot off the presses. You need to get, what did I say? Hot off the printer. I mean, get this extension in that locker for Bregman right now. Get Boris at the table wherever he is. If he's in his silk pajamas in his luxurious mansion somewhere, get him wherever he is and get this extension done. I mean, Alex Bregman showing you here today, like Dave O'Brien said, off the bench, that's the guy that you need to have as the face of the franchise. He needs to be signed up here. I mean, that's a big time home run. It's a close game at that point, and he just puts you ahead like that coming off the bench and doing it in a place with, against the team that was hot after him. Remember, go back to the offseason. You're hearing about, obviously, the Red Sox, the Tigers were in pursuit, and all of a sudden the Cubs woke up for him. And it looked like they were maybe even getting pretty close to getting something done. And in the end, the Red Sox, they pointed up the big bucks and they got it done. Bregman's a gamer, man. Bregman is a face of the franchise kind of a guy. And I want that guy in Boston for years to come. I've watched Red Sox baseball for quite a while now. I know a guy when I see it. It's like the same thing with Dustin Pedroia. I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy that you need to sign up. Bregman, amazing. Gotta love what he did coming off the bench here today. And shout out to Alex Cora for making that move, going for the pink shit there. Love that. And how about Wilyer Abreu? Someone grabbed the king, the king's crown. I've been giving that a lot here to Seti as of late. King Seti. But I think right now you got to give the crown to Wilyer Abreu. I think that's what we're going to do. Instead of calling it like player of the game, I think I'm going to be doing it like a I don't know, I got to come up with some kind of a name for it, but like a crowning segment, right? King Wilyer here today. He's phenomenal. Couple of home runs on the day. Man, oh man, you got to love it. And listen, we all keep talking about trades. We all keep talking about surplus of outfielders here. I mean, he's showing you why you got to keep him around. He leads the Red Sox in home runs. Very good defensively out there. He showed off his arm. I mean, we already know how good of an arm, Wilyer has, but he showed off the arm a couple of times here today. Making a couple of good throws in. Wilyer Abreu. Love me some Wilyer. King Wilyer for the day. He is my player of the game. And Garrett Crochet. let's touch on him really quick. Like I said at the beginning of the show, at the top of the show, when you got a guy like Crochet on the mound, you can go out there and you can go win some games, but not just games, not just any games, but postseason games against postseason caliber teams. That's what you need from Garrett Crochet, and that's what he's going to give you every single time out. Was it his best start of the year? No, but a very solid start against a very good offense there. Sure, they were getting the bat on the ball here today, but Crochet, he looked fine and dandy for the most part, if you ask me. Gotta love it. Gotta love what the Red Sox did here today. Did they win the series? No. 10-game win streak snapped coming into this one, but they salvaged it here today. And they looked very good doing so. But I will say, though, the offense, it took them a little bit to get going. They took I think they were still taking a bit of a nap, a bit of a break from the All-Star break. But they finally got it going here today late. Before I do get started, everybody, first off, thank you for joining me here today. Do appreciate that. If you are with me live, thank you so much. I love the consistent crowd that we've been getting here pretty much every single game. I love all of you. Thank you all for the support. If you could help me out, though, just give me one like there. Give me a subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 5K by the end of the season. We're around, 4.2K subscribers right now? Hey, we've been steadily growing here on Monster Territory, so thank you so much for that support. We do have one more thing before I do dive into the show. Tonight is the deadline, ladies and gentlemen, to join the Chat BCC trivia game. You can play for a chance to win an authentic MLB jersey of your choice up to a $400 value. Contest ends tonight. The deadline is tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to randomly, Foul Territory, they are randomly going to select a winner from the top 10 scores. So go over to foulterritory.chat, get entered, go give yourself a chance to win an MLB jersey of your choice. Not bad if you ask me. Go play, see if you can win, and you can brag to your friends about it. So let's get to it here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about. Like I said, we got today's game. We got the Phillies coming up here, so it's not going to get any easier at all, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be having another tough series here starting up tomorrow night. And then we also got some other news. I did mention, maybe there could be another possibility for a number 2 out there. I know the talk of the town has been Joe Ryan. Maybe there could be another one. I don't think so, but you can never say never. That's what I've always learned here when it comes to talking trades, free agents, whatever it may be. I'll get to that. We do have a bit of news from Bob Nightingale today. I will touch on that as well. And a few draft picks. Craig Breslow, he's probably working the phones, maybe trying to work out some trades possibly, but also getting some draft picks signed today. I'll dive into that. So let's get to the offense, shall we? Let's get to this offense. Like I said, pretty quiet the first 6 innings. Only had 2 hits the first 6 innings. He had a few base runners along the way, getting a couple of walks. Shout out Roman Anthony. This guy was sick today. He had his own, Michael Jordan sick game. That is a joke. Obviously, that's one of the greatest performances of all time. I'm exaggerating. But Roman Anthony came into the game today under the weather, not feeling very good. You saw him DHing today. Massa was out in left field today. That turned some heads. I'll turn to that in just a little bit. Do have something on that. But Massa out in left field today. Roman Anthony getting the job done with the bat, though. Get well soon, Roman Anthony. Whatever you came down with, go get yourself some vitamin C. Go get yourself a nappy nap. Roman Anthony, this guy's so good. But overall, only 2 hits through the first 6 innings. Cade Horton, man, this guy showed you why he was a first-round pick back a few years ago. Guy's very good. We talked about him last night. Good velo, good stuff. The one thing that's been eluding him this year is putting guys away. Gets a good amount of swing and miss, but overall strikeouts, not amazing for him. But today, he was really working his way through the lineup. The Red Sox, they were starting to show they did show some life later on in the game. But you saw Horton, maybe a couple of cracks were coming through, and the Cubs ended up pulling him. But, hey, tip of the cap to him. He looked pretty solid here today. But the 6th inning, Duran had the walk, and then Roman with a ground out. And on this play, for this exact play here, Roman had the ground out, and then Duran, as he was going to second base, Nico Horner, he got called for interference. So Duran ended up getting over to third base. A bit of a confusion there, But Duran, he seemed pretty adamant that, there was interference there, and they did end up calling that. But then you weren't able to come through here. Love Seti, love what he's been able to do this year. But this is one of those situations where, the lack of situational hitting has come back to bite the Red Sox. You had a runner on third. You had a chance to score there. But Seti pulling the ball to the right side, that's a time where you got to try and go oppo of that. You got to try and hit that to the right side. I mean, with Duran's speed, even a ground ball over to the second base, that's going to score a run. So, but then Massa striking out, that ended the threat. But then the Red Sox offense waking up here. 7th inning, Wilyer, 2-run shot, made it 2-1. It just felt like a matter of time before Wilyer was going to come through with something. And, or not just Wilyer, but anyone in this offense. You're thinking like, man, they can't be shut down this much. I mean, listen, I know it's a good Cubs team, but they got to come through with something at some point. And, okay, we just got some news here across the board. Ken Rosenthal is reporting that the Phillies have signed David Robertson. That was actually going to be a little bit of the news for today that I was going to touch on. And, okay, David Robertson going to Philly. The Red Sox were in attendance to scout him, but it is what it is. David Robertson going to the Phillies. That was a guy I was looking at in the offseason. Maybe the Red Sox had signed him, but he's at the point in his career now where, it's he doesn't really need a pitch in the first half, right? He's at the latter part of his career, so good for him getting himself a contract at the Phillies. And the Phillies do need some bullpen help, so we'll get to see David Robertson maybe in the upcoming series. But Wilyer, eventually the Red Sox coming through, 2-run shot, 8th inning, Bregman off the bench, pinch hit 3-run home run, pinch hitting for Massa. That made it 5-1. A great call from Gore there, getting Bregman in the game. Bregman not starting today. But to me, when you got a close game and you got to have your best guys up, I think that was the right move. Even though, you were ahead at that moment, you had a threat going. You got to get your best guys in there, in my opinion. So, and then Wilyer adding on his second home run of the game, 20th home run of the season. That made it 6-1. That leads the Red Sox in homers. So, solid job with these guys today, putting the team on their back in the later innings. Glad the Red Sox were able to wake up here today. Let's get to Garrett Crochet. Again, like I said, not his best outing here today. Pretty solid for the most part, though, right? We've seen better performances from Crochet. He went 6 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts on the day, a couple of walks. Crochet, but again, you're going up against a really good Cubs offense, one of the best in baseball. We saw this yesterday with Bayo from Giolito as well, really putting in a good amount of different pitches, right? Especially with this offense. I didn't mind the approach from the pitching staff, right? Just giving them a ton of different looks here. And that's what Crochet did. And not just a ton of different looks, but just balanced overall. Just a good mix of pitches overall. He got 14 whiffs on the day, 7 from the fastball. He was up in the zone for the most part with the fastball. He was mixing around the location with all of his other pitches. Sweeper going down, going in the zone as well. He had a good balance of going in and out of the zone here today, keeping the Cubs off balance for the most part. And he just wasn't able, he just didn't allow them to really come through the big knock here today. They had some stuff going, though. PCA had the double in the second inning. Crochet actually got him trying to steal third. So that was a big one. And then Swanson ended up moving up to second base. Then Happ coming through the RBI base hit. Swanson ended up scoring on that play, made it 1-0. 4th inning. After that, though, he was able to keep the Cubs at bay for the most part. 4th inning, this is where we had the incident with Masataka Yoshida out in left field. Fly ball to Massa. Looked like he was fine. Looked like he had it. And all of a sudden, Duran, he's just coming in headstrong and runs into Massa. Luckily, he held on to it. I was a little confused on this one. When they showed the replay after, it did look like Massa was calling for it. I'm not sure. Maybe Duran couldn't hear him, or I'm not sure what happened on that play. But to me, I would say of Massa, if he's camped under it pretty comfortably for the most part, and you can literally see him saying, I got it. I think Duran, I don't know. I mean, I'm not out there. I don't know what the volume is like out there. I'm not sure what these guys are able to hear and not hear. Um, but I'm not trying to pick on Duran here. He actually had a couple of good defensive plays here today. But Duran, more often than not, you see him get involved in these situations, right? Where you can maybe look at it where, okay, yeah, Duran, he did goof up that one. But then there's been other times where even if you can't fully, say it's on him, he's still involved with it somehow. It just happens time and time again. Again, I'm not saying Duran is always making mistakes, left and right, but he just seems to be in the middle of all of these things that tend to happen. Not all of them, obviously, but a good amount. I hope that's the fair way to say it. I feel like we can all agree on that one. Duran, he could definitely make a great play here and there, but there's just so many times where he's just right in the middle of something, Luckily, nothing ended up bad happening out of that one. 6-inning PCA with another double. PCA is so good. Wild pitch, move him over to third base. Crochet locking it down here, though. Striking out Swanson. Happ, ground ball left side. Very big ground out right there, especially with Happ getting the RBI base hit later on in the game. The fact that you got him to ground out to the left side, solid job from Crochet, especially with the speed of PCA. Ground ball right side. All of a sudden that could be another Cubs run. But, and who knows, maybe the momentum of the game shifts a little bit. You never know. And then striking out Turner to end his day. Just a good, gritty outing for Crochet, in my opinion. Even though he was running into a little bit of trouble, I just never felt uncomfortable. I never felt like, oh no, like we're about to blow this one, right? Kind of like, listen, I don't mean to pick on Greg Weissert, but anytime Weissert, if he gives up a walk, I'm like, oh no, Greg Weissert, please don't hurt me today, please. Crochet never gives me that feeling ever. Bullpen came in after him. Whitlock, Hicks, Alcala, 3 shutty, locking it down. Overall, just a good day today. It took a little bit for the offense to get going. Took them a little while. Took a few, about 2.5 games for the most part, or a little more than 2.5 games. But they got it done. You got to love it. And salvaging the series against the Cubs. But getting back to my first point, just showing you they can hang with a postseason team. Especially, not just any postseason team, but I think this Cubs team, they are strong enough to at least get to the National League Championship Series. I think they are that good. I think if they make one move, maybe 2 for the pitching staff, I think this is a team, they could make a run to the World Series. I do feel very confident about that. And hey, the Red Sox, they hung tough here today. Had your best guys stepping up for you. I think really what this tells me, if they can make a couple of moves, I think this team could absolutely go on a run, right? So, before I do get to the Phillies preview, we do got to pay the bills. We got to keep the lights on. I'll be right back. Ever bet on baseball before? Well, it's easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Now, here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Alrighty, let's get to it here. I did see a super chat. Brandon, you're saying here, stop saying you're going live 20 minutes before you do. I apologize, Brandon. But now, I do want to say one thing I usually do whenever I put the time, sometimes I have to push it back a little bit because I'm trying to get something to work or whatever. But usually what I do, let's say, for example, I set the time for 5:30. I usually like to give it around 10 minutes, right? So that way people can see the notification. That way they can come in. I've been doing live streams for a long time, and that's something I've always done. I like to let people see that, hey, I'm about to go live, and that way they can get here for the start of the show. I try not to let it go too long, so I do apologize if I let it go a little long after that. But I usually like to give a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of leeway, so everyone can get here for the start of the show. But I'll try to be a little quicker, I promise you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the support. Let's get into it here for the Phillies. We got another tough one here, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, really quick, let's pull up the latest standings before we get into the Phillies series. And taking a look-see now, the Red Sox 54 and 47 here. Let me move this on over so you all can see. And holding on to the third wild card spot as we speak. Tampa Bay, they lost today. And the Red Sox are a game and a half up for the third wild card spot. So as of right now, the Yankees holding on to number 1, Mariners at number 2. And the Mariners, they've been playing some good baseball as of late, winning 5 straight. So there's going to be a dogfight for this wild card spot, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very, very interested to see how this all shakes up at the end of the year. But I'm telling you, man, I'm feeling good about this deadline. I am. Last year, I don't know, even though the Red Sox, they were in an okay spot, actually right around the same record last year. But when you compare the talent level with this team compared to last year's team, it's kind of one of those things where, that team, sure, you're thinking, oh, okay, hey, maybe this team has something here. But I don't know. It just felt like they weren't fully there yet, if that makes sense, especially organizational-wise, where, you're still waiting on these top prospects that can come up and help contribute, right? Last year, the moves they ended up making, not surprising because, the Red Sox, they were going through a bit of a roster crunch at that point where you had guys coming up on Rule 5 eligibility, who was the Nick York. I was going completely blank on that one. I believe Matthew Lugo was coming up on Rule 5 eligibility. So, the Red Sox were going through a bit of a roster crunch. So the moves that they made, it was kind of like you were sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, where you were able to get off of, get those guys off of the roster. So that way you weren't forced to, throw them up for Rule 5 possibility. And then you were able to bring back some talent. Obviously, the talent they brought back didn't really help out, but wasn't surprised to see that's how the Red Sox ended up going. It wasn't the best trade deadline you could ever have, but where they were as an organization, it kind of made sense, and it still does to me in hindsight. But this year, though, now that you have all this talent at the Major League roster, now that you are in a good spot once again, now that you have an ace at the top of the rotation, they're in a much better spot to go make some moves at the deadline. Some better moves, some higher upside moves, right? Last year is more kind of shoring things up. This year, you're really looking to maximize the possibilities that you have in the American League. So feeling good about this one, feeling good about the deadline coming up. And another big difference. Last year, coming out of the All-Star break, they got swept by the Dodgers. This year, you were facing that same possibility, getting swept by, yet again, another good team. They held on to this one. So a little bit of an improvement from last year. A little bit. But you got the Phillies coming up. Remember last year, you had the Rockies after the Dodgers. This time, you got the freaking Phillies. So it does not stop. As to the Phillies right now, taking a look-see. They are in first place in the National League East, 56 and 43. Very good team. They've been a very good team now for a few years. We know the drill with the Phillies. You got bats like Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, old friend Kyle Schwarber. Still to this day, wish we had somehow kept Kyle Schwarber. You're going to have some other guys like Castellanos, in here. I will say, though, they do have a lot of lefties in this lineup. So it'd be interesting to see how this Red Sox pitching staff really goes after some of these guys. Brandon Marsh, at the bottom of the order hasn't really been able to produce all that much for the Phillies. When you got these guys at the top, like Turner, Schwarber, Harper. I mean, that's going to be just awful to deal with. But then you get a little bit of breathing room towards the bottom of the lineup here. You got a lot of guys that they're just not, you got four guys at the bottom of the lineup here that have under a 700 OPS. So this is where, it looks frightening, but to me, I was actually, this Cubs lineup, that's a way more difficult lineup to navigate through. I hope I don't eat my words on that one, but when comparing this Phillies lineup, they're more top-heavy than the Cubs. The Cubs are just more evenly spread out. That's a tough lineup to navigate through. That's why Crochet's performance was even better than what the stat sheet showed today. The Phillies, though, I think you should be able to handle this offense. But the name of the game with the Phillies, I mean, you're going up against easily one of the best pitching staffs in all of Major League Baseball, if not the best. Let's actually take a look here at where they rank when it comes to starting pitching. On Fangraphs, as of right now, the Phillies are, all right, let me fix what I just said. They are the number one rotation in all of Major League Baseball. Number one in FWAR, 3.32 ERA, 3.28 on the FIP, almost 10 strikeouts per nine, 2.6 walks per nine. I mean, yeah, you got your hands full with this pitching staff. And right off the bat, you're going to be getting yourself a little Zach Wheeler. A little Zach Wheeler. I mean, if you're looking for a mismatch, my goodness. I don't know about this one. This one might not be too pretty here tomorrow. I don't know. Zach Wheeler and Walker Buehler. I mean, Buehler has looked a little better in the last couple of outings, but I don't know about this one, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Wheeler, that might be the mismatch of mismatches. We'll see, though. We'll see. Actually, how has Wheeler been doing here the last couple of outings? Well, against San Diego last time, they were able to get to him a little bit. 6 hits, 4 runs. But against Cincy, he had a complete game with 12 strikeouts in the start before. He had 10 Ks against the Padres had just seen him, so maybe they made some kind of an adjustment there. Zach Wheeler is really good. That's gonna be tough. But then this is where I have a little bit of hope. This is where I have a little bit of hope in this one, and this is yet another bit of a mismatch. But I can see some positives with this. Richard Fitz did look pretty solid in his last start. Did look pretty good. Again, it was the Rockies, granted. But he went to the 6th inning, 5 hits, 2 earned. So, stuff was looking good. Fastball was looking good, breaking stuff. And so Richard Fitz, hey, the Phillies, they haven't seen him before. So maybe that could be something that works in the Red Sox favor. And Christopher Sanchez, obviously, I mean, he's been regarded as one of the more underrated arms in baseball for a while now. But I think it's gotten to the point where he's been so underrated to where I think he's probably properly rated now. I think everyone knows now at this point, Christopher Sanchez, he's solid and he's going to be tough. He's going to throw in a lot of sinkers with you, some changeups, some sliders as well. He's going to be tough. But this is where I'm looking for the Red Sox righty bats to be stepping up here. Robbie Refsnyder, Romy Gonzalez. Let's see. Let's see here. And then you got another lefty, Jesus Luzardo. Now, this guy was looking amazing in the first part of the year, but he has been cooling off a little bit over the last several weeks. Now, the FIP is looking good at a 2.87. ERA has steadily gotten up there at a 4.29. He's going to rack up the strikeouts. But his last few starts here, he gave up 4 earned in 4 2/3 against the Angels. He gave up 5 earned against the Reds not too long ago over 2 innings. He looked good against the Giants over 7. But he's been a little more up and down. Goodness gracious. He gave up 12 runs against the Brewers about, a month and a half ago? Crying out loud. That is a horrendous start. But Jesus Luzardo has been a little up and down here. But again, another lefty. So this is where I'm looking for Romy and Rob to really be stepping up here. So I think the Red Sox, they have a shot to win this series. I don't think that's completely out of the question here. And then Lucas Giolito, where, he's been looking solid here for a little while, going back to the beginning of June. So I think this is a winnable series. I know everyone may be like, oh, the Phillies. Oh, man, the Phillies, come on. No, I think, sure, great pitching, but I think they have a better shot than you would think in this series. That's just me. But everybody, if you are with me live on Nesson, we do have to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining me here today. We will be live here tomorrow for the Nesson post-game show. Thank you for joining me. Go have yourself a good rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. But everybody, let's get to the news here. Let's get to the news and taking a look-see at what we got. Well, we just got some news with David Robertson going to the Phillies. Wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing him out of the Phillies bullpen. But we got some other stuff here. Now, Bob Nightingale, he put this out. In his every Sunday morning, he'll put out an article on the USA Today. And he said here, I tweeted about it today, said the Red Sox have sent scouts to watch both Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen. Now, I wrote here, Gallen's been up and down this year, ERA above a 5, FIP just below a 5, but he has the track record. Kelly, on the other hand, has been solid, 3.34 ERA, right around the same with the FIP. I said, my guy is Joe Ryan, but I do think Merrill Kelly is a good fallback option. Now, listen, these guys would be rentals. They would be a lot cheaper than Joe Ryan. I would love to go out there and acquire Ryan, but I've already been on the record saying, not quite sure if the Red Sox are going to be able to pull it off. That's going to be a lot, and with how crazy the deadline gets, that might be a little too much to overcome at the deadline, where you got so many different phone calls being made, teams trying to, you even get situations where, the Red Sox maybe, when you're looking at, possible packages that you could put together, maybe getting third teams involved, like you could see it where it has the possibilities of getting done when you're looking at it from just that point of view. But then you're going to have situations where all of a sudden the Yankees make a call. Oh, hey, here the Red Sox are making a call. Hey, we're interested in Joe Ryan. But the Blue Jays, hey, we're interested in Joe Ryan. And they start making calls. They're starting to, make the waters a little bit muddy for a team like the Red Sox, especially teams in division. Get a third team involved, and that makes it even a little more crazy, right? So when you have that factor with how expensive Ryan's going to be, I do think it is going to be a little too good to be true to be able to land Ryan. I hope I'm wrong about that. I really do. Because I think they could get it done. But that's where I wonder if the offseason, we have a little bit more breathing room. If you were to get go back to Garrett Crochet last deadline. There was a little bit of a difference there. When it came to that situation, because they had to monitor his innings, and he was saying, the only way he was going to pitch in the postseason is if he got a contract extension. So that was different in that case. Still, though, the White Sox, they were looking to really sell high on him with the market. And, it just, I was seeing a report. Well, who put this report out that the White Sox, they were asking for both Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer? That would have been ridiculous, but that's what these teams are going to do. So I don't know. I just don't know if the Stars are going to rely for Joe Ryan. I hope I'm wrong, but I could definitely see it for Kelly. He's going to be a lot cheaper. He's a rental. And maybe you could even do something with Josh Naylor if you wanted to really make an upgrade. Left-handed bat, first base. Toro's been struggling for the most part over the last month or so. Maybe some kind of a package deal. I could see something like that possibly. I don't know about Gallen, maybe a little too up and down, but maybe the Red Sox could see something with Gallen. Who knows? We will see. But then we also had this from Mr. John Heyman. Mr. John Heyman, he can't believe it. He says here, several teams have called the Nats about all-star lefty starter Mackenzie Gore. New Nats GM Mike DeBartolo, I don't know why, I'm just thinking Bartolo Colon, has said that while he prefers to keep the core group, he'll always listen. Probably a long shot with 2 more years before free agency, but worth teams trying. I'm going to be very honest with you. I would be surprised if Joe Ryan got moved at this point. I would be shocked if Mackenzie Gore got moved. I would be, and here's why. Because Mackenzie Gore he's going to be more expensive than Joe Ryan. They both have the same amount of control left. And while Joe Ryan's been very good this year, Mackenzie Gore has been excellent this year, and he's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. My goodness, 19 starts, 110 innings pitched, ERA at a 3.02, FIP at a 2.92, over 11 strikeouts per 9. That's a better rate than Joe Ryan, under 3 walks per 9, keeping the ball in the yard. As of right now, Mackenzie Gore ranks 8th in Fangraph wins above replacement among all starting pitchers, while Joe Ryan ranks 18th. So Mackenzie Gore, he is going to be very expensive. I mean, Joe Ryan is going to be too, but I think the Nationals, they are in every position here to be able to really, really look for a haul for Gore. I mean, yeah, the Twins, absolutely. They'll get themselves a pretty penny for Joe Ryan, but for Mackenzie Gore, I mean, holy cow, you get more than what the Twins would get for Joe Ryan. So I don't know if this is going to be in the cards. And I'm thinking of it's the same thing with the Twins, right? Because I think for the Twins, they have still incentive to hang on to Joe Ryan. There is an argument to trade him, really, get back a good mix of major league ready talent that's young, cost controlled, with prospects that could help them over the next few years. Help them, kind of retool a little bit. But you can still keep Ryan because the Twins want to compete. They're not going to be these big time players out in free agency. So when they have guys like this that still have that much control, they have every incentive to hang on to a guy like that, at least for a little while longer, right? See how things go. And the Nationals, same thing. They got him back in the Juan Soto trade. So to me, I think the Nationals would very much like to hang on to Gore. Not mainly for that reason, but they got him back, in a package that they thought would help them compete. And I think the Nationals do want to compete. I say, now that they've switched it up, with the front office, look out for them this offseason. Maybe the Nationals can go out there, go spend some money, and really put out a competitive team on the field next year. I think that is very possible. Go out there and maybe go get another bat for this lineup. Hopefully you get a bit more of a step forward, from Dylan Cruz, who hasn't fully lived up to the hype yet. But with James Wood, obviously, he's been amazing this year. CJ Abrams, he's been very good, right? So Nathaniel Lowe, if they get him to, he hasn't really produced all that much this year. He's been okay. I mean, he's been fine. Let me actually pull up the numbers. I mean, no, not really, because he's at a negative F4. He's got under a 700 OPS. I mean, no, so I take back what I just said. So they just need bats, in my opinion. And, you're not going to, if you don't have Gore, then you don't have an ace. So I could see the Nationals maybe going out there, go after, say, another guy for the rotation, maybe get one more bat in the lineup, and maybe the Nationals are in business next year. I just don't think he's going to get moved. Too expensive. The Nationals want to compete. But like I always say, never say never. Now, we had a couple of draft signings. Kyson Witherspoon, number 15 pick overall, going to the Red Sox. Nice little birthday gift for them. He was projected to go in the top 10. Jim Callis reporting here today that they signed him for $5 million. That is a little bit under slot, so they were able to save around exactly $114,200. Not bad. I wish I had that nice little chunk of change, but nice. I mean, slight under slot. That little bit of savings can go a long way in signing some of these later picks. So if you can get a guy to sign under slot, even if it's just for a little, especially with your bonus pool in the draft, that can go a long way. They also signed Marcus Phillips, their second pick in the draft, their supplemental first rounder. They also went under slot on him, $2.5 million. So they saved themselves just under $400K. So a $500K savings with the first two picks. Again, that goes a long way with getting some of these guys in the later rounds. And, another thing to add on here, let me pull this up. One guy, I did do a video on this. I did a separate episode, like a bonus episode. I will say this, if I'm looking at the Red Sox picks, like I'm looking at someone like a Fabian Bonilla, where this guy, he went to the Christian Military Academy in Puerto Rico. Go look up some video on Fabian Bonilla. There's not a whole lot. I found one video on him on Instagram. He is 6'2", 200 pounds at 18 years old. He's like a presence at the plate. And I wonder if the Red Sox, like, that's the kind of a pick where maybe you could use those savings to really entice him to say, hey, listen, we want you to be here in this organization. What can we offer you? You know what I mean? Like someone like that, even if you go down a little lower, some of these other guys like Barrett Morgan, I believe he's going to be, he committed to Texas A&M for this coming year. He was going to community college, a big guy that's 6'5", 230 pounds. Maybe you can convince him, say, hey, don't do that. Come to us. We'll give you an extra $200K. You know what I mean? And for a guy that's coming out of community college, $200,000, I mean, that might be worth it. You never know, though. I mean, they got to weigh whether or not it's going to be better for them to, go to a college like Texas A&M but still, that extra money can really go a long way. You know what I mean? And like some of these other guys that they picked up, like Carter Rasmussen out of Wofford, I don't know if you have to go over slot with him, but these later picks where it could help them out. They also signed Anthony Ianson, where actually this is where they did use some of the savings here. They actually, instead of him going back to another year at LSU, I believe he was only in his, let's see here. I believe he was only in his second year? He was in his third year playing college ball, so he could go back for another year. So that's where he had leverage, but the Red Sox said, hey, you know what? Listen, we'll give you like an extra almost, little over or a little under an extra $1 million. So that's where that can come into play, So we'll see how they end up spreading out the rest of this bonus pool money, but definitely a good chunk of that went here. So overall, though, great to see the Red Sox getting these first 3 picks signed. I love that. Solid job. Everyone, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Another solid show. I want to say this. Where every show, we always have a consistent crowd, right? You guys always keep coming back, but we're always consistently right around this same number. And that's really cool. And I want to thank you for that, for spending your time and listening to my potato brain and, hearing what I got to say. We never have like this drop off where people come in and they just leave. So I appreciate you all sticking around all the time. I appreciate that. So everyone, appreciate you all. Thank you so much. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. We are trying to get to 5K by the end of the year. We'll be back here tomorrow night for the Phillies postgame show. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.